let's talk about um one of my least favorite groups of people, landlords. So this is a article from my favorite my favorite tabloid, my favorite publication, the Daily Mail, the crown jewel of Western journalism. Greedy. I'm laughing because every time I land on a Daily Mail article, I'm always impressed at the length of the title. It is not SEO friendly. If you guys have ever done like online publishing for blogs or whatever, this is way too long of a headline. This is like a Panic at the Disco song from their first album. This is the headline: Greedy LA landlords and realtors accused of price gouging rent prices by as much as 134% after devastating fires. I'm just going to say it right now: prison, jail. And I'm not even being hyperbolic because this gets highlighted in the article. This is illegal. This is what this is just straight. This is illegal behavior. This is doing crimes on the timeline. This is catching a body and then posting about it. Money hungry landlords and realtors have been accused of jacking up rent prices in the LA area, some by more than double, after devastating wildfires left thousands of residents homeless and displaced, even as the catastrophic Palisades blaze continues to ravage the city and devastate residential neighborhoods. Opportunistic landlords have swiftly raised rental rents by as much as 134%, according to listings reviewed by DailyMail.com. The shocking increases have occurred despite an emergency declaration by Governor Gavin Newsom, which bans price gouging above 10% of pre disaster prices, carrying penalties of up to 1 year in jail and a $10,000 fine. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I also believe it is illegal to increase rent prices by 50% by more than 50% year over year. I heard that somewhere. I don't know if it's true. Regardless, this is at least illegal by California state law. And I think that this penalty is just straight up too lax. All right, we need some criminal justice reform, obviously. We need to focus on rehabilitation over incarceration, but I think in instances like this, we need stricter sentencing. Cuz 1 year in prison, which is not going to happen, and a $10,000 fine is just not enough of a deterrent when some of these listings, as you can see, as you will see, are hyper expensive already. Like, these folks got money, man. You're a landlord in LA. You're an enormous real estate firm in LA. The inflated figures have sparked outrage among tenants' rights advocates as well as some local realtors who have condemned the behavior as predatory and disgusting. However, other agents have claimed they were unaware the declaration was in effect. LA realtor Trey White. This is a fake person. Trey White. This sounds this sounds like a character from a skit. Who grew up in the Pacific Palisades said he is appalled by the price hikes during such a challenging time. This is bro was in a coma for his entire life and just learned about greed and capitalism. Quote, it's a frenzy right now. I'm seeing people raising rents by 10, 20, 50% just to try to get some more money through this devastation. I've been working nonstop trying to help my community, added White. I don't even know what to say anymore. It's wild. It's something I've never heard of happen. What do you like? What do you say to this? How like this person was living in an objectively different reality from everybody else. Like, you live in LA, one of the worst, arguably the worst offender in terms of cost of living, right? Right up there with New York City, baby. Right up there with the New York City metro area in which I am a resident. And you're like surprised by greedy landlords? Are you like, that's like saying that you're surprised. It's like watching, it's literally like watching Steph Curry and being surprised when he makes a three. It's like, dude, this is not Eddie Curry. This is Steph Curry. White, who works for real estate firm Compass, said he naively hoped, yeah, obviously, at least he has a little self awareness. I'll give him credit. Hoped that landlords would offer discounts to people made homeless by the fires, but instead it has turned into the opposite. This is another thing, as we will see throughout this article and just throughout this disaster in general. We should not be relying on corporations to give out charity. This is the function of the state government. This is the function of Gavin Newsom's whole fucking apparatus. He should be the one administering aid. Okay, so this is for everyone who's listening. This is just one listing, okay? Listed in February of 2024 for $12,750. This is a 5-bedroom home in Santa Monica. Okay? 5-bedroom house in Santa Monica. Doesn't even look that fucking. Doesn't even really look that nice. I'm going to be honest. It was relisted on the 10th of January for $28,000. A 119% increase. I'm appalled by the entire situation, said Trey White. I'm from the Palisades, so I'm helping my friends and family to get places to live. I understand when supply meets demand, but when it's an essential good, which housing is, it's price gouging and it's illegal for a reason. Okay, I was poking fun at Trey early on, but he seems like a compassionate individual. He seems like a very kind guy, and I do hope that I do wish him nothing but the best while dealing with this tragedy. But I hope this is a wake up call for him. And it's that these real estate companies, they're fucking grimy. They're slimy individuals. You have housing, which people will always need, and you're taking advantage of folks in instances like this. They've lost everything. Their lives have been destroyed. They've lost their house, their business. They've lost all of the memories in that home, both lived memories and preserved memories in the form of pictures. Some have lost family members, some have lost pets. And these fucking ghouls are jacking up rent prices under the guise of the rental was uninhabited. So I thought it was so it actually doesn't violate the law. That is a real quote from this article that we will get to. The rent increases have put extraordinary pressure on families who are already reeling from the sudden and traumatic loss of their homes and are now desperately searching for somewhere to live. I will mention that this also further highlights the cost of living crisis in major metropolitan areas because a lot of people who lost their homes in this tragedy were working class. I've mentioned I'm not familiar with LA geography, so like Altadena, I know just from covering this is a very working class neighborhood. I don't know its proximity to Pacific Palisades and Santa Monica and some of these more upscale neighborhoods, but these rent prices are just fucking ridiculous anyway. Among the listings which have gone far beyond the legal limits is one 3-bedroom mid-city apartment whose owner jacked it up twice since the fires had begun. Jail. Put this guy in prison. Give him the fine and then fine him $10,000 for every month that he's in prison. Because this is just straight demon behavior. The unit was going for $5,500 a month in December before being raised to $7,500 on January 10th. It then jumped to an astonishing $15,000 a month a day later. Realtor to the Stars, Santiago Arana, who appeared on Netflix's Buying Beverly Hills and claims to have sold $4.6 billion of real estate, was linked to a 4-bedroom single home in Brentwood that saw a $5,000 increase from November, according to records. This is like, uh, these people are right up there. I would put them in the same tier as everyone who caused the financial crisis in 2008. You have such there's no way to properly describe a person that's this immoral. There really isn't. You're an evil individual. You're just evil, straight up. To see people down horribly again, and you're just spitting in their faces like this. Like, I know you need a place to live, but you can only live here if you're willing to pay $15,000 a month. Like, that's preposterous. Realtors for other rental properties have listed new rent prices over the 10% limits, but have claimed they didn't know the law was in effect. The moves have led to bidding wars between families. In one case, a prospective tenant put down $1.5 million, the equivalent of 2 years' rent up front, just to get a home, but was still unsuccessful. At least 25 people have been killed and thousands of homes have been destroyed by the fires that consumed LA over the last week. If only there was a solution to this. If only there was a way to construct more units that people could live in. I wonder if anyone has ever proposed this idea to Gavin Newsom. I wonder if Gavin Newsom knows that you can just build houses, right? There's nothing special about it. You can just make shelter for people, right? I mean, listen, this is probably harder to make than a house. And there are, I don't even, millions of these made. For anyone who's listening on audio, I'm talking about my iPhone. They were able to build a supercomputer that you can keep in your pocket. And yet Gavin Newsom is blissfully unaware of the fact that you can commission contractors to build houses so that way people can live there and aren't homeless to begin with. The Pacific Palisades neighborhood has been almost completely eradicated by fire, and Altadena, an area north of the city, has lost thousands of homes and structures. But rather than taking part in efforts to rebuild and help out the community, some realtors and homeowners are using the disaster as a chance to make a profit. That is in defiance of the emergency declaration filed by Gavin Newsom, which enacts Penal Code 396, banning rental increases over 10%. You shouldn't be able to raise rent at all in a disaster situation. You should actually call me crazy, but you should probably just like allow people to live there, right? Like these people should, if you are going to be a landlord in a disaster situation, you shouldn't be allowed to charge anybody for rent. Call me radical. I don't give a shit. California Attorney General, it's a typo, Rob Bonta warned against scammers and bad actors during a press conference on Saturday. Quote, following a declaration of emergency, the statute generally prohibits landlords from increasing the price of rental housing by more than 10% of the previously charged or advertised price. He added that disasters like this bring out bad actors who seek to use the trauma, the chaos of moments like this for their own gain, and these people need to be punished. You have to levy some sort of consequence. There has to be a negative response to this. You know, whenever people are like, oh, I'm afraid my child's going to touch the stove when it's on, if they do touch the stove and they realize it's hot, what they don't touch the stove again. You have to actively prevent these people from allowing to capitalize on these situations. He, however, would not comment on whether the department is engaged in an investigation. Many of the properties reviewed by Daily Mail had been listed for hundreds of days, yet had not found a renter, making their increases in price after the fires appear all the more calculated. It's calculated either way. And I'm sure if there were people living in these properties, they would have had their rents increased anyway. Because the supply and demand, like economics 101, fewer houses, which means that my house is more valuable, so I'm going to charge you more money. They included a 5-bedroom home in Santa Monica, which boasts a view overlooking a golf course, a chef's kitchen, and 3 levels of outdoor space. Dog, can we just have normal fucking houses? Like, the home went from $90,000 a month to almost $110,000 a month. Who is living here? Who the fuck, like, this looks like LeBron James's house. In a nod to renters who had lost everything, the listing states that it comes fully furnished. Oh my god, bro. Prison, but in space. Space prison. It had been listed for $12,700, but on January 10th, the price went up to $28,000. When Daily Mail called Gabriel Palmrot, the realtor listed on the property. The call dropped and he did not respond to messages asking for a call back. What a little bitch. What a slimy little asshole. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't talk about the phenomenal increase in rent that I just did because I actually have 13 other properties that I have to raise the rent on as well. Another Los Angeles rental property, a 3 bedroom in Mid City, had its rent increased twice in 2 days after the fire had begun. I know I was shitting on the Daily Mail earlier because it is a tabloid, it is a wet rag, but this is a good piece of journalism. This is important. The home, which comes furnished with 2 queen beds, a bunk bed, a sofa bed, and a family room with a brand new pool table, was listed at 5,500 last month, but on 10 days after, price went up to 7,500. This is also worth noting. I don't know if Daily Mail is privy to this, but there was actually a lawsuit going on right now against again, I don't want to say landlords in general, but that's kind of what it is. Against price fixing in rental houses, there's an algorithm that basically dictates the rental price for housing units across the country. And even if landlords aren't using this algorithm, if they're like a mom and pop landlord, for example, they still are hurt by it because whatever the algorithm says the rent price is, whatever the algorithm says market price is for rent, they are marking their properties for the same because that's what they think market rate is. And it's really just a big conspiracy by a bunch of real estate conglomerates to raise the rent on renters. Tenant rights activist Chelsea Kirk, the director of policy and advocacy at the LA-based Strategic Action for a Just Economy, became so frustrated with the price gouging she started a Google Doc with all the examples she could find. When she opened it up to the public, there were hundreds of entries within days. She said, "It's profoundly shameful and predatory. It's disgusting. It's also illegal." Governor Newsom he issued this emergency declaration. If there's anything good that comes out of this, it's that people are seeing plain and clearly the greed of the landlord class. It's got a few more price jumps here, but then on January 8th, the price went up again. This is for a 5 bedroom home in LA that had been on the market for 7,500. Price went up again, another 100% to 15,000. It then went down 20% on January 11th to 12,000, but it is still a rise of 80%. Reached by the phone, Kevin Danielafar, yeah, whatever, who was leasing the property, tried to claim that because it hadn't been rented out, the owner could charge whatever price he wanted. That is not the case, my friend. The fucking attorney general literally said there cannot be a 10% increase in advertised price. I don't think this falls into price gouging, he says, as he lists his apartment for $15,000. This was never leased at any price. They can put it up to $20,000 if they want. If this is my lawyer, dog, I'm going to jail. This guy just does not get it. He's fundamentally misunderstanding the situation. This is not a rent controlled property either. It's fully furnished. It's the value of the furniture is very high. That's great. Did fucking Alexander the Great construct all of the furniture himself? Did Alexander Hamilton sit on the pool table? Like what makes the furniture so valuable? When asked why the rent increase happened, he said he was just following orders. Another LA realtor was named on 2 listings which had increases over the 10% limit. In one case, a luxurious 7 bedroom, 10 bath home in Beverly Hills went from 90. I touched on that one earlier when DailyMail.com called to inquire about it. Oh my god, dude, they could probably put their whole staff in that house, I think. Um they learned that it was a 9% net increase from the original figure. Oh my god, bro. This is just fucking house after house after house. The listing was handled by reality star. Oh, this is the same motherfucker who they mentioned earlier, whose clients include Lady Gaga, my goat LeBron James, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, my other goat Larry David, and Anthony Hopkins. They told the Daily Mail that that there was confusion about the rules and claimed that they were not guided by the rules. I too like when there are rules that I have to follow and I don't follow them. I too enjoy crossing the solid yellow line just because I can. The owner, quote, didn't want to gouge anyone, they said, and claimed that the price increased because people had offered that amount of money. Who is offering more money to rent? I like this is I just fundamentally do not believe that. I know they mentioned it earlier, but you're having bidding wars over rent because people need to fucking live somewhere. Like that's why. And even then, like you're still disgusting. Robin Walpert went viral for a video shared on Instagram which described how a family was outbid on a house where they offered 30,000 a month and they got outbid by someone who offered 51,000. This is the same people that they mentioned earlier. They offered 2 years rent upfront, $1.5 million. It's so competitive and it's desperate. People are willing to throw it all to have an air of protection during this time when nothing feels that way. It's been a carousel of crying families, 10 families in a property, 15 applications for the same home. Like, bro, this is fucking crazy. Walpert said she had been left appalled by owners like a woman in Santa Monica who said she had a home to rent out, but then quoted a price 4 times the normal rate. I told her she could take a hike. Really just insidious stuff happening.